Okay, here's my next plan. I had brushed the case sides, and actually I ended up brushing the entire thing. There were some highlights or high polish right in this edge, and on the inside of this case in here, and on the back side, and actually on the back side of this as well. And I've brushed them all out just to keep it a more utilitarian look, more tooly, and I think it might help. And I even redid the brushing on the surface a bit just to help out with when I get around to adding patina to the metal stainless steel and trying to darken it, give it a weathered look. And then I'm going to probably sand it or something to make it look a little worn in certain areas, a little bit more like on the edges and so whatnot. But before I do that, I was planning to do that first, but what threw me a curveball was this inner chapter ring. As you can see, I removed the crystal, and I was hoping to just pop this guy out, but the way this is set in there, see, there's this extra metal that's right behind here, most of this, except for the edge, as you can see. And this is really inset into some sort of channel or groove on the inside all around. I can't really even budge it, and I don't want to force it, so I'm gonna have to leave this piece in, unfortunately. So I can't just spray the that whatever that liquid is that I have to try to stain this stainless steel and darken it. Not yet, at least, because this is still going to be open and I don't have the crystal to protect it. So I'm going to do a little reverse. I'm going to treat the chapter ring piece here. I'm going to try to do some weathering on it, give it a patina look. And I did decide to do that. I was debating whether I should, and I got kind of inspired by the time that I spent at Worn & Wound Wind Up in San Francisco last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, and I saw Laco there, and they had their, some of their abstract models. There was one that was like a limited 25 it's like a Flieger with a California dial. It was pretty cool. Just one left, but one of my buddies from one of the groups ended up actually buying it. Good buy. It's pretty cool. It's got this weathered look. Patina, if you know the abstract look, that usually costs a bit more, and they do a nice patina and vintage and really worn look to it to make it really look like it was, worn in battle or something over the ages. It's a really cool look, and they've done that basically to their special, I think it's a limited edition, the Rad, what is it? Not Rad Lux, Rad Aux, AUX, RAD-AUX. It's like I call it sort of steampunk, but it's kind of like, I think they modify it to look like something out of Fallout, that video game, which is a retro environment, I think sort of 50s to 60ish, roughly around then. It's like a post-apocalyptic kind of a role-playing game. Anyways, if you know the game, you'll be familiar with a lot of the design characteristics. And they made a watch that looks like it came out from there, which is really cool. Had a similar patina look with the loom and the weathered case, and it's got a special bun strap and everything. Just look it up, or I might flash a picture of it right about here, and you can get a pretty decent look at it. So those things, especially that model, which I really like, but it's a little pricey. It's over $2,000, maybe about $2,500. That inspired me to say, you know what, since I like that, I'm going to try to do something like my own version with this mod. So I'm going to try to do that. So I'm going to try to flash up some pictures of it right around here on this side, and show you that, some close-ups, give you an idea of the look of it and what I'm going to try to do. And mainly it's the way the dial has been weathered. We'll get to the case later, but the dial and the loom, if you look closely, and you can't see in this video, just look up some pictures online. The patina looks kind of loomed, backwards. The loom looks kind of patinaed, or it's getting kind of that orange custardy color or something like along those lines. But it's got a little bit more orange in it, and it actually looks kind of gritty and dirty. Some sort of rust or something, some oxidation or something's going on with it as well, and even a little bit of looks like it's even gotten some sort of charring or something to it to make it look even more, really worn in and battered and stuff, which is a pretty cool look. And I believe I can replicate that with these Tamiya Weathering Master pastels, basically. It almost looks like eyeshadow type of stuff, the way this stuff is made, and you've got this applicator. But I tested it on a spare SKX dial just to see if I could kind of come close to the look that I'm seeing, and it seems to work. So I'm going to try to do that with this. So my idea is, let's see, what time is it? I got to try to get this wrapped up soon, at least get it started on this guy, so I can close the case on this and get onto the other pieces, the dials and the hands I'm going to put into this mod. But this should be, if you look at the images closely, only the loom parts, which would be the thick markers and the triangle, are loomed, and anything else that doesn't really get that treatment. So those are the ones I'm going to try to hit. And what I'm going to try to do is I may add some in some other areas, just a hint of it somehow, maybe. We'll see how it goes when I just do those first, and then if I feel like it's a little too stark or too contrasty, like it doesn't feel separate for some reason, then maybe I'll go back in and address some other areas around, just to unify everything. You don't want these elements to be looking too separate from the rest of the part, if you know what I mean. But at least the loom should be addressed, and then we'll see from there. So I'm planning to use, it's covered here, but this one is rust, orange rust to be more specific. And on this set here, set B, I'm going to go with the darker, just the rust here, to add some darker parts, and then lastly soot, something dark and kind of charred. Soot sounds appropriate, just to add just a little bit to match that look that I'm seeing on the Radox version, and we'll see how that goes. And so I think, yeah, I'm doing it like this because it's been my experience that, much like painting, you work from lighter to darker. So as you can see, this is how it looks like. And the other colors are gunmetal and silver, and this is a good way to give like on certain models, you want like some sort of metallic to show through, like it's been worn on the edges or on the surface. Put that on, and then you kind of take some off, and you just work it till it looks convincing, like it's weathered, as this is supposed to be. So I don't need much. I'm just going to take a little bit of this, just touch the tip of it, just to pick up some. All right, just like that. See if you can see that. Not much. That might even be too much, but I'm going to just go really lightly on this. Just knock off some of that on there. And you don't want to overdo it. And then this one is, like anything, just build it up. So, which one should I attack first? Let's go for one of the rectangular markers, like the 1 o'clock. So I'm just going to just touch it. Part will be getting up into that, but you can see it's already, perhaps you can see it's maybe starting to get a little bit on the orange side. Should be. That will be Sorry if it gets out of focus. I'm looking past my camera, around my camera to get really hands-on, because looking through the camera itself, it's not entirely accurate. And I'm going to address in the inner corners there with, where did it go? I have these small, also Patina, these really fine Q-tips, which I can just probably just pick up something here. That might have been too much already. This stuff is really soft and powdery. And what I need to do is actually, once I get to where I like it, I'm gonna have to, sorry about the focus, seal it all with a bit of fixative, more or less like hairspray, something matte to hold down the stuff, because it is powdery and it's not really meant to be it doesn't hold on its own. Just gonna need to put something on top of it to help see, it's starting to get kind of yellowy. It doesn't have to be covered all the way, because if you look at the images of the way they did it from Seiko, it's a little bit kind of patchy, and it's not uniform. You'll see it's almost, I wouldn't say blotchy, but it's not uniform, let's just say that. I'm gonna do that. Let me reference the image real quickly off of my phone, so I make sure I'm heading in the right direction, and if this is good, then I'll apply the next color to try and start to darken it. And so I am heading in a pretty good direction with this. So you know what, I'm gonna keep this going, and I'm gonna just keep applying this orange rust first, because I don't want to go back and forth between pastels. Just work this in there. Crap, this thing does move around. I gotta make sure this is aligned before I set this back into the watch too. Yeah. So if you look at, I looked at closely at the some of the reference images I have of this, and it does look kind of it's not completely even. It looks layered, and to just want to get ahead of ourselves and overdo it. But that's basically the gist of what I'm doing here. You can see, I think this is a hell of a, if it works out the way I think it should. I mean, there's different ways you can patina something. You can make it very creamy and eat more even or uniform, I suppose, as opposed to what I'm doing here, which is really trying to force out a bit more more of an even grittier, rustic look. Sorry if the focus goes out from here occasionally. I'm trying to concentrate on this. But yeah, I think for this look that I'm trying to simulate, this works quite well, and I'm curious how they do it. I don't think I've seen any videos on exactly how it's done by those guys at Seiko. But if I were to take a guess, given the results that I'm getting, I'd say, I venture to say maybe they do something pretty much like this. Yeah, let me try something with the video. I went into pro mode to see if we can get this in focus. to at least balance out the white balance on this, so that it doesn't shift so much, and especially the exposure. Sometimes it gets too bright, and then I gotta go back and try to reset it. A bit of a pain in the ass. And as you see, some of it gets out a little bit on the outside, but you can just brush that away because it's like powder almost. But you get the look we're going for here, and I think this could be pretty successful. You know, there's that coffee staining technique that a lot of people try, and it works to some degree, I think, depending on perhaps the brew. And perhaps the brew and how strong you make it, right? I take this brush just to get some of the excess off. That's kind of gone outside, but you know what? It doesn't matter too much because this is gonna want that kind of dirty look anyways. So you can see that's already getting there. What we're gonna do now is try and go into the corners. Of course, this will reduce a bit of the potency of the loom itself. It's just the nature of the beast, but you know, it's fine. I think it does. I've done a test on this on the Lumibrite of my SKX dial, and it does still show up. So it's not completely lost, but you know, it won't be as bright or probably as even, because I'm doing a little bit of cover up here on it as some other I mean, without, instead of sorry, I'm trying to concentrate and talk at the same time. Yeah, it's obviously going to have to be a little bit tainted and darkened. It probably doesn't convey it as well as what I'm seeing it in real life here. It's definitely a bit more, comparing video right in front of me to what's in front of my eyes. There's definitely more there's definitely more of an orangey color to what I have in front of me. It's not overly so. And so I was saying that I was contemplating how to patina this dial, you know, these indices and stuff. And the most common way, popular way I suppose to do this was to use coffee, right? Stain it, remove it, and just kind of repeat and rinse and repeat until you get it to where you want it to be. That's all fine, but sometimes I think that that's a little bit too time consuming. I mean, I don't want to waste the coffee. No, but more importantly, I don't want to, yeah, I just didn't want to, I think you have to wait for it to dry or something and then see where it's at and then apply more. That's much slower. So I think this way it is, the results are more immediate and gratifying. So, see, I got some on the outside, but no big deal. And just brush it out, even it up, and it's not like it's gonna matter. It's the beauty about doing something kind of rustic and used. You don't have to worry about it being picture perfect. So there we go. I think this is pretty decent area to be at. You know, if I ever wanted to touch on the other stuff, I could probably just take some of this stuff and just kind of dust it around the edges, but I'm not going to get into that yet. So I think I'm good with the orange rust. So we're going to get into some deeper tones. I'm going to just quickly reference, I'm going to go with the rust, just to add some darkness to some areas. Just a little bit that's looking a little bit more toasty, I guess. And then we'll add some last minute details with the soot, just to, you know, char it a little bit. And we'll see if the results look pretty darn close to the lacquer versions that they've done. I think it will. Okay, so then I'll be right back. Well, you know, if I wanted to keep the more of the abstract look, I don't even have to go into this stuff here. It's actually, I look at it, it's mostly like deposits of orangey kind of things on top of the loom. So if that was the look I was going for more, I could do that, but I think I'm going to just weather it a bit more. So what we're going to do is take some of this rust here, see that darker brown, and it's kind of stupid they mix white snow, this is supposed to be snow, with soot and rust, and you're supposed to give you one applicator. How are you going to do that and achieve a pure color if you're using one applicator to do it all? I don't know. Anyways, let's see if I can get this back in focus. So, I don't know, we'll just try one out right here. I don't know if you can see that. It just hit the corner just a little bit. You see that? It looks like that. See? That's all you need. And then maybe I'll go over here and just dab it. Keep in mind, when I do this, I probably lift off some of that orange that I just laid down on there too. So I'm trying to avoid that as well. Because I do want it slightly more orange. I don't really want to burn it out with too much brown. So you have to be careful with this application. Just enough to not make it such a, you know. And it's just a really an artistic process, I suppose. I should go around and just see what works here. And if you know anything about this particular watch and its stock dial, or at least its chaptering, these loom parts, they're not. One thing that struck me as weird, and I had to do several reference images to see if this was really the case, but apparently the loom fill in here, you know how these are very straight, clean, rectangular, but the loom fill that they actually put in here is rounded, and it doesn't actually fill up necessarily all the way. So, yeah, It's kind of unusual that they decided to make it something like that. You know, they didn't so, you know, the trick about this is like, do I try to apply like some sort of patina, or you know, this effect here all the way to make it fill out, or do I just do it for where there actually is loom, which isn't all the way to the edges? Okay, and then I think I got some on the outside a bit, so we're going to just clean up a little bit of that if we can. Especially these ones on the tip here. I'll try to brush those out a little bit. Got the inside here, the inner edge. This when I try to attack on this side, apply some. Keep saying the word attack. Try to put some on this side. It kind of, you know, added something. So I just want to make sure I don't make it like a sudden light spot or something on there. So that's actually looking pretty about right. I might just hit this up one more time with a touch orange. Let me go back and look at the image again just to compare and see if I do need to just punch it back out with ever so bit of the orange rust, you know, just to have some pick back up in certain areas. And then I'll go back in with a little bit of soot in just even fewer spots where I think it could be useful. And I don't think, I'll give this a try here. There, I mean, I didn't get any like on the inside here, so what happens if I try to work some in there? You hear the news in the background, I apologize. It's too lazy to turn off the TV. I suppose it'll mask my breathing. Because I'm a mouth breather. I've been waiting to Stranger Things season 3. Damn it, it's hecka delayed. I think it should be showing up soon. I gotta check my calendar. I think that looks pretty decent. I have to move along pretty soon. What do you think? Well, it is what it is. You might think it looks messy here. Sometimes the video, the lighting and the color balance or something just doesn't really, might not be showing it exactly the way I'm seeing it. But I think for me, in my actual vision here, it looks about right. Let's see, there's some crap on the inside here. So what I'm going to do after I get this to where I want it, before I close it up, I really should mask off everything around the dial. So try to see if I need to move it, if it's somehow got knocked off center. Because what I'm going to do is throw fixative on this, but I'm going to mask it off so it doesn't get as much of, it stays as much as just on the dial as possible, just to lock down the weathering pastel work that I did. And then, yeah, so I don't want it on the case itself. And then when I do that, I want to make sure it's as centered as I think it is. It should be. Is that what if that fixative does end up locking this chapter ring in the wrong, angle? It could stick on the edges or something potentially, and then I'd be kind of screwed. Or at least it'd be very difficult to fix that and move it out to get it back. But we'll see. Hopefully it won't come to that. All right, so I think I'm good with using the rust for now. Let me just go back over here. Let me review the image, the reference image again, if I need to. And I think I might just punch it back up with just a little bit of orange, because some of that darker rust color I think might have removed part of it and maybe toned it down a little in some ways. We shall see. Okay, so I think it's pretty good, but maybe I'm just gonna maybe highlight certain areas with just a tiny bit more on some of these, just a little bit. And I think it'll be about right. So yeah, I think this method for this particular type of weathering, I'll call it that, is probably better than coffee. Okay, so I think it should be okay. Okay, so I'm pretty sure I'm done with that. Close that up. Let's finish up with, I guess I can just use this. Throw in some soot. Let's, don't want it anywhere too obvious at first. Let's shoot for, I don't know, maybe 8 o'clock down here. Yeah, I mean, some of it's just getting on there, and then I just want to remove just some of it. I don't want to over darken it, you know, too much of it. If it looks too much, I guess use this orange rust side just to remove some of it and put back a little bit more orange. But I think, oh, this is kind of okay. Key, sorry, I'm off frame. Key is just to go, for autofocus, is to be subtle, as don't overdo it, I suppose. That's the idea here. Let's go with it at some of the 2. My little attempt to make a $2,000 look or so. Whoops. Spit. Well, add to the weathering. Maybe I do need to go back with orange. Unless there's some way I can clean that off. Let's see. There's a, you gotta, I could settle with this shit. Well, you know, screw it. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, I think that's good enough. It's getting late and I gotta wrap up. What did this lid go with? I guess this one. So this stuff is pretty cool. Just get a set. There's an A set too, which I'm not using, but right now. But I think this would be pretty cool once you put in the dial. That will have a similar effect to the numbers, wherever they're supposed to be loom on that aftermarket dial I got from DLW. And also trying to do some on the handsets too, and all tied together. So this is at least done. I'll set that away. So loosely lock that so nothing gets too much. You don't want too much crap to sneak in from behind. Oh, you know, it doesn't even matter since this thing is open. There's no crystal. I gotta mask this thing off and fixative to it. But that's it. Hopefully it's been informative, and we'll progress to the dial probably next, and the handset at some point. Till then, yeah, wish me luck on this. Hopefully I can get this done sooner than later. it's quite a bit of work just to, and the weathering, and then all the parts should just come together, and that'll be that. Thanks for watching. See you later.